Hello again. It's been a while since the last bonus video, so I thought we'd have a bit of fun with this one and use the tree textures, that's the ones you can see here, and use those to make a few of these little guys, which we can use to represent Twig Blights or something like that in our games of D&D. So yeah, it's a bit of a change from our normal stuff, but let's make a start. Okay, the first thing we'll need to do is glue some of the trunk texture to both sides of a piece of scrap foam core. Then we can cut that into something like a 1/4 inch strip and then trim that so that it's roughly a 1/2 inch long. Next we'll cut away all of the 4 corners so that we're left with a kind of squashed hexagon or coffin-like shape. So something like that. Then we'll cut out a strip of the wood texture that's the same thickness as the foam core itself, cut out a piece that's long enough to wrap around it, and then glue it in place. And there we go. Okay, for this next part, I've already glued some of the same texture around one of those tiny drinking straws, and we'll cut one end of this off straight, and the other end at a bit of an angle. All we're going to do then is apply a tiny spot of hot glue to the angled end, like so, and glue that to one of the sloping sides, and this is going to be the neck of our little creature, so something like this. Right then, for the head, I've done a similar thing with a regular sized drinking straw, but this time we'll need to cut both the top and the bottom at a slight angle. Then we can take a bit of thin cardboard with the texture glued to one side, punch out a small circle with a hole punch, and then give that a slight domed shape by pressing down on it with a rounded object. Though I am also going to bend it ever so slightly along the centre. Then all we need to do to finish the head is glue this to the top of the straw, with the fold running from the front to the back, and we should end up with something like this. Okay, next we'll need to glue that on top of the neck. So here I am just dry fitting it first, and as you can see, the neck is a little bit long, so I'll just cut a little bit away first, like so, and then glue it in place. And it should end up looking something like this. Right then, for the legs, we're going to go back to the tiny straw again and cut out 2 roughly 1/2 inch long lengths. Then all we need to do next is glue those to the bottom of the foam core. And when doing this, I personally like to push the straw's hole over one of the corners, if that makes sense. Now obviously, we want this guy to stand up straight when we glue him to a base, so here I am just trimming his legs nice and level. And there we go. Okay, for the arms, I've wrapped some of the bark texture around a toothpick ahead of time, and here you can see me cutting 2 lengths that are probably a bit less than a 1/2 inch long. Then we'll need to grip those, near the middle, with a pair of pliers or clippers, and snap the toothpick so that it forms a kind of elbow shape. Then we can simply glue one of those on either side. And there you go. That's how our little guy should look at this stage. Okay then, so a Twig Blight isn't much of a Twig Blight without any twigs, so for these I've glued some of the same texture to the front and back of a thin piece of cardboard. And from this we'll need to cut out a few narrow strips, tapering a few of them slightly, and then cut those to various lengths. So here I am doing just that. And there we go. Then we'll stick one of the shorter ones to the back of the elbow of each arm. So something like that, and we're aiming for this kind of thing. Then I like to glue a couple more in the shoulder area, pretty much directly on top of the arms. And then all we need to do is glue 3 or 4 more to the creature's back, possibly even sticking a smaller one to the side of a larger one to make it look a bit more like a branch. So yeah, it's all pretty straightforward stuff, and when we're done, we should end up with something that looks a bit like this. And as you can see, it's not the greatest looking thing in the world, but it should still do the job. Okay then, for the base, I've simply glued some of the grass texture to some thin single corrugated cardboard, and because these are small creatures, I've cut that into a 20mm square. And if we just glue our little creature in place, we can then call it done. However, if like me you're going to make a handful of these, then you might want to add a bit more detail to a few of them, just for a bit of added variety. So for this one here, I'm also going to add a few leaves. So here you can see that I've printed out the leaf pattern on both sides of a sheet of paper, and all we need to do then is punch out a few small circles with a hole punch. Then we'll fold each of those in half, just to give them more of a leaf-like appearance, and then simply glue a couple of them to a few of the branches. So there's the first one glued into place, and I'll really speed this next part up while I add a few more. And there it is with those in place, though I am also going to add a bit of decoration to the base of this one as well. So here I am gluing on a small toadstool from the Cave Accessories PDF, and this time around I really am going to call this one done. So yeah, as I said previously, they're not great, and a 2D paper cutout might be a better option for this kind of thing, but I think they'll still do the job nonetheless. Anyway, that's it for this one, but do let me know if you want me to try more of this kind of thing, as I've got a few more ideas that might also work, and as always, thanks for watching.